The Northern Star is the first exercise that we're going to work on within Freeborn Neck Protocol. It's not the only exercise that you're going to want to work on, but this is where we start. Most people find this exercise feels very good to them and is productive for them. Once in a while, this exercise is a little too much for somebody, and then we need to switch gears. If for some reason you're one of those people and it doesn't work that great, go on to the next movement pattern and figure it out. You probably need to be working from your hands and knees first rather than from your back first, if that's the case. Some of you are going to want to have a slight elevation, a little bit of a pillow at the back of your head because you don't have the range of motion to get here. So if you're lying down and your head sort of notches back like this to get your head to the floor, you're going to want to add a little bit of a pillow at your head in order to have a better relationship with the floor. The first thing that we're going to do when we get on the floor is we're just going to lay here for a second, listen to our body, and get a sense of how we're feeling. You'll find that you get into this pose instantly once you know how to get into it. The first step is we're just going to go one step at a time. So as I'm here, now I'm going to take and lift my hands up in the air and place my hands on my head. My hands are going to be on my head magically so. I'm touching my head with purpose. I'm really touching my head. More on that in a moment. At this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to weaponize my elbows, which means I'm going to reach my elbows towards the ceiling at whatever angle they're pointed, and that's it. It's not super far, but it's a little bit. It's this widening of your shoulder blades at the back of your shoulder blades. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure my shoulders are reaching towards my hips. So I'm reaching and weaponizing my elbows and making sure my shoulders are working towards my hips. Now mine are already there, but some people are going to have their shoulders trying to come up towards their ears, so they need to work the shoulders towards the hips. So we have a couple forces there, the forces of the shoulders going towards the hips and the elbows weaponizing to the sky. At that point, we're going to go ahead and do a little bit of a, perhaps a bridge or no bridge. You don't need to lift your hips up off the floor, but some people find it helpful where I'm going to drive my body north, and it looks like this. So I used my feet, which are south, and I drove my body north. It pulled the skin down my upper back. It's very important to get that skin pulled down the back. And at this point, I'm going to still be weaponizing my elbows and thinking about my shoulders. And now I'm going to rock the boat. So rocking the boat is a little bit of like a roll towards the camera, a roll away, a little bit of a side to side, and then I'm going to drive north again here. The rocking the boat allows me to create some space between my shoulder blades because I'm looking for this rounded back position to broaden my shoulder blades. And when I'm weaponizing my elbows, I want to feel like I'm activating my serratus anterior, which is this muscle right here in the rib cage. So as I'm reaching this elbow, I can see I'm sliding out of the screen because I've driven north a couple times, right? So I'm going to get back in here, hands on here, go north, boom, rock the boat, boom. Now, the next step is the back of my head. What I want to think about is I want to think about the back of my head going north. So that's where, after I've driven my body north, I'm going to think that I have the back of my head going north. Now my hands are just magically touching the head. Those of you who had FNP 1.0, in there I asked you to sort of almost pull on your head and sort of go here. That's no longer. That's not a cue. All we want to do is have our hands magically touching our head. That's it. We don't want to be pulling on our head. We're not looking to make this overt. We're looking to make a synergized connection, a looping force from the hands to the elbows, to the shoulders, back to the hands. or you can think of it the other way around. But we have the lower half of the neck being pulled south with this skin of the upper back being pulled south, and we have the back of the head working north. So what you'll find is that the back of your neck is getting closer to the floor. As a byproduct, you're going to sort of go into this lowering of the chin position. Some people may call it a chin tuck, but I'm not going to call it that because we're not overtly tucking our chin. The position of my chin is only a byproduct of all these other things happening together. So again, we've driven north, hands are on the head, weaponized. We need the tongue to the roof of the mouth. If it's not there, make sure you can get it there. Your mouth is closed, but you're definitely not clenching your teeth. You have your teeth even slightly separated. And from there, we're going to expand the rib cage. So I'm going to take a couple inhales. It might be like then I'm going to think about expanding my ribs. I want to get really big ribs, to activate the intercostal muscles, get my diaphragm and the ribs involved. So we're going with big ribs. So once I have all this in play, and you'll see, you'll get into all of that like that. You'll hit the floor and you'll just be like, bam, boom, Northern Star. Now, once you get all these anchoring points up top and you feel like you have a nice little length tension at the back of your neck, you're going to hold low-level intensity. You're just going to hold this low-level intensity. You're not going to make it crazy. You're just going to hold this low-level intensity. So it's just a little bit of a force, I might have a little bit of a force into the floor with my head, but I'm reaching my head to the north. I'm thinking about my cervical spine arching away from the floor. So I'm sort of finding this connection of my tongue muscles with my deep cervical flexor muscles. That's helping me create a bow of my cervical spine while I'm activating my nuchal ligament. And then at that point, I can start doing things where I'm like perhaps tucking my tail and flattening my back into the floor, maybe kind of working a little bit of a pelvic tilt. There's all sorts of other movements that we start to move into from the Northern Star. But this pose here, the Northern Star, is the basic pose. Boom. And as you're developing this, you're going to find that you need to hold it and work on this little pose for 8, 10, 12, 15 minutes in order to get the ligaments to respond. Muscles will respond in 30 seconds or 45 seconds or a minute. For sure, we can get a muscle to really respond. Your ligaments need low intensity, steady state force. Nothing too crazy. If you use too much force, force is going to negate. If you don't use enough force, you're not going to create enough stimulus to get a response out of it. That's it. That's the Northern Star. You got this thing. Good day.